Introduction. This book is more than just my story. It's a reflection of a transformation, a rebirth. The journey I've taken isn't one of simple growth, but of awakening to a deeper understanding of life, purpose, and the strength that resides within. There was a time when I was going through the motions of life, feeling like I was simply surviving. But then something shifted. It wasn't a single moment, but a series of realizations and experiences that led to my spiritual awakening. I've come to believe that each of us has the potential for transformation, sometimes in ways we don't even recognize at first. For me, it wasn't until I fully embraced this process that I truly understood the depth of who I am and what I'm capable of. It was like I woke up from a dream and saw the world and myself in a completely new light. Through this book, I want to share the journey of how I went from feeling disconnected, overwhelmed, and uncertain to finding clarity, purpose, and a deep connection to something greater than myself. This is not just a recounting of events, but an exploration of the mindset shifts, the realizations, and the moments of awakening that allowed me to step into a new chapter of my life. My hope is that by sharing this, you'll see that no matter where you are in your own journey, transformation is possible. It might not come easily, and it might not look the way you expect, but it is always within reach. This book isn't just for me to reflect on my past, it's for you too, to show you that no matter the hardships you face, there is always the potential to rise above, to learn, and to grow into the person you're meant to be. Chapter 1. Childhood. Not just as a time of carefree play and growth, but as the foundation that would shape who I am today. It was in those early years that I learned the values that would guide me through life, especially the one that has become my anchor: discipline. Growing up, my parents were my first teachers. They didn't just tell me what was right or wrong, they showed me in their own quiet but firm way how to live with integrity. They had a simple approach. They didn't force their will upon me, but guided me gently. This is good and this is bad, they'd say, but it was never about dictating my choices. It was about helping me understand the consequences of those choices. I could choose my path, but I had to be prepared to live with the results. Looking back, I'm grateful for this approach. They didn't just teach me the rules of what to do or not do. They taught me to think critically about my actions. If I wanted something, I had to earn it. If I wanted freedom, I had to prove I could handle it. The system they created for me, where good grades and responsible behavior would lead to rewards, was a lesson in discipline. It was never about mere obedience, but about creating a framework where success was earned, not handed over. One of the clearest memories I have of how deeply these lessons stuck with me comes from a time when I was very young, and I strayed from the path. I made a choice that I knew deep down was wrong. And when my parents found out, I learned the power of consequences. My mother, with a calm but firm hand, made sure I understood the weight of my actions. She corrected me in a way that wasn't just about discipline, it was about instilling respect for boundaries, both for others and myself. I'll never forget that moment. It wasn't just the physical correction that stood out. It was the understanding that I had made a mistake, and now I had to learn from it. From that point on, I listened. I respected the wisdom of my parents, who, despite their firmness, were always there to guide me in the right direction. They weren't just my parents, they were my mentors. Even today, as I face challenges and big decisions, I still find myself asking, what would they say? Their guidance is woven into the very fabric of my decisions, and I carry it with me every day. As a child, I spent countless hours playing outside, running with the neighborhood kids and enjoying life in its simplest form. From sunup to sundown, we were outside, whether it was playing soccer, hide and seek, or simply running through the streets. That physical, outdoor play shaped my understanding of balance. It wasn't all about hard work or discipline. It was also about connecting with others, experiencing joy in the moment, and building community. Today, I look back on those carefree days as an important lesson in living fully, balancing work with play, and cherishing the time spent with others. But there was a chapter of my childhood that reshaped me more than anything: surviving the Second War in Serbia. I was just a child when NATO bombed us in 1999. I vividly remember the terrifying noise as bombs hit a military base near our house. It felt like everything was falling apart around us. Yet in that moment, I found myself calm. My family was together, and I told myself, if we need to leave, we leave. If we die, we die. There's nothing we can change. We didn't run in fear, but instead took refuge in the basement, waiting for the chaos to subside. Afterward, we went outside, played, and tried to enjoy life with those we cared about. The war left its scars, but it also gave me a deep well of strength that I draw from to this day. That period taught me more than just survival. It taught me the power of accepting what's out of our control and the strength that comes from how we respond to challenges. It became my foundation for resilience, helping me face later challenges with a calmness and clarity that I would never have had without that experience. The most important lesson I took from that time, it's not what we get, it's what we become. The discipline, the lessons from my parents in surviving the war, it all contributed to the person I would eventually become, someone who would face life's challenges head-on with determination, resilience, and wisdom. Chapter 2, The Teenage Years. My teenage years were a time of great change. I had gone from being a reserved, quiet child to becoming one of the most active, confident kids in elementary school. By the time I reached high school, I was already known as a leader in sports, excelling in soccer, basketball, and just about every other sport I tried. People looked up to me, and I started to feel the weight of expectations on my shoulders. I was good in school, great in sports, and had a natural ability to lead, but something shifted when I entered high school. As I walked through those high school doors, I was faced with a new world, one where the desire to fit in began to take center stage. I wanted to be cool, just like every other teenager. I had spent years leading the way in sports and academics, but now I wanted something different. I wanted to experience what it was like to be a part of the crowd, to step outside of the role I had always played. It wasn't that I wanted to abandon everything I'd worked for. It was just that the pull to be seen as cool, especially by my peers, became stronger. I started to make choices that were more about fitting in than about staying true to my earlier values. I did things to get attention, things I might not have done before, like pushing boundaries and seeking validation from others. I was more concerned with how I was perceived, especially by the girls, than with my grades or my leadership. At the time, it felt like a natural phase of growth. I didn't regret it because it was part of my journey. It was the process of discovering who I was and what truly mattered to me. Looking back, I realized it wasn't necessary for my growth. If I had known what I know now, I would have focused more on my inner strength and less on trying to fit into a mold that didn't align with my true self. But I understand that every person, especially at that age, has to go through this period. It's a learning experience, a way to explore and push boundaries to find your true identity. Eventually, I reached a point where I had enough of this act. I realized that my initial values, what my parents had taught me, what had shaped me in my younger years, were what truly mattered. I started refocusing on my discipline, the drive that had always been a part of me, and the lessons I had learned earlier in life. The teenager who had once worried so much about being cool began to shift back toward the person who focused on building lasting skills, on leadership, and on being true to myself. While I didn't completely leave behind the desire to be liked or accepted, I began to understand the balance between social life and personal growth. I wasn't just a leader in sports anymore. I was a leader in my own life, working to become the best version of myself, both academically and emotionally. High school taught me a lot about the importance of balance. It was a time where I was navigating the pressures of being a teenager and trying to figure out my place in the world. But it also solidified one of the key lessons that I carry with me to this day. It's not about who you are on the outside, but who you are on the inside. And in that period, I started to understand that it's not just about fitting in, but about standing strong in your own values and purpose. Chapter 3, College and the Path to a New Future. After high school, I set my sights on higher education. I decided to pursue a degree in finance and administration, a path that seemed logical given my natural leadership and academic strengths. College was a time of intense learning and personal growth. I was determined to push myself, and the academic challenges I faced in college only strengthened my resolve. Graduating with a master's degree in finance and administration felt like a major accomplishment. I had worked hard and I was proud of my achievements. But as I looked toward the future, reality hit me hard. Despite my qualifications, I found that the job market in Serbia was not kind to new graduates. Opportunities were scarce. And even when I managed to land a job, the pay was far from what I had expected given my education and experience. It was frustrating to feel stuck, knowing that my potential wasn't being fully realized in the environment I was in. It wasn't just about the money, it was about the lack of opportunities to grow, to make an impact, and to build a life that reflected my ambitions. I had worked so hard to earn my degree, and yet I found myself questioning the value of staying in a place that didn't offer the opportunities I was seeking. That's when I realized I had to make a change. I couldn't let my dreams be limited by the circumstances of my environment. I began to look for other options, places where I could truly build the life I envisioned for myself. That's when I made the life-changing decision to move to the United States. I knew it wasn't going to be easy, but I was determined to create a better future for myself. The move to the U.S. marked the beginning of a new chapter in my life, one that would be filled with new challenges, new opportunities, and a deeper understanding of what it means to fight for your dreams. It was a bold move, but it was the right one. Little did I know this decision would lay the foundation for the transformation that would shape my life in ways I could never have imagined. Chapter 4. A New Beginning, Moving to the U.S. Ever since I was a kid, I dreamt of being in the U.S. I was captivated by the tall buildings, the fast-paced life, and the freedom I saw in the movies. But for a long time, it felt like an unreal dream, something distant and out of reach. That was until one day I saw a group of friends from college who had gone to the U.S. on a J-1 student exchange program. They came back with amazing stories and experiences, and when I asked them how they got there, it was surprisingly simple. I thought, why not? And told my mom, I'm going to the U.S. She supported me, as always, and that was the moment everything started to take shape. With confidence and excitement, I began the application process, and before I knew it, I was boarding a plane to the U.S. When we arrived in New York, stepping out into Manhattan was like stepping into a movie. I couldn't believe I was finally there. I remember standing in the streets of Manhattan, overwhelmed with joy, not wanting to leave. We were late for our bus to Boston, but I didn't care. I was living a dream, and I wanted to soak it all in. As we drove through the U.S., everything felt surreal. Every stop along the way felt like another scene from a movie. I knew in that moment this was where I was meant to be. It wasn't just a place, it was the start of my journey. The first year was about survival and learning. I worked 3 jobs at one point, logging over 100 hours a week, but it never felt hard. I was excited to be here, meeting new people, learning English, and immersing myself in the process. Every challenge was an opportunity for growth, and I gained confidence along the way. It was through this process that I learned how to adapt, hustle, and keep pushing forward. There was no fallback. There was only one way, and that was forward. Eventually, I realized that trucking was the way forward for me. I loved to drive and travel, and the financial rewards were better than any job I had worked so far. It felt like everything I wanted was finally coming together. Then life threw another curveball. During this time, I met my wife, who would become a major part of this new chapter. We worked together to navigate the process of getting my American citizenship. After a while, I decided to step away from trucking and start a new venture, opening a restaurant. This wasn't just a business, it was a dream. Running the restaurant was like an intensive school in personal growth. I learned that building a business is very much like building yourself. The more you grow, the stronger your foundation becomes. As a leader, I learned that it's not just about running the business. It's about building a strong team. You have to lead by example, hire the right people, and nurture them to grow alongside the business. When the team is strong, the business thrives. That was the key to success. Watching the business grow and expand has been the most rewarding part, and I'm not stopping here. We continue to expand, and the journey is still unfolding. This chapter of my life isn't just about a place or a business, it's about transformation. From the moment I decided to move to the US to where I am now, everything has been about taking action, facing challenges head on, and growing every step of the way. Chapter 5, Spiritual Awakening and Transformation. The turning point of my life came when I experienced a profound spiritual awakening. Before that moment, life seemed to follow a typical rhythm, but deep inside something was missing. Then everything changed. It began with a devastating loss, my first child, who passed away in my wife's womb just days before the due date. That event, painful as it was, became the catalyst for my transformation. It awakened something within me, shaking the foundation of my beliefs and opening my eyes to a deeper understanding of life. A few months before the loss, I had started feeling a shift inside myself, an explosion of energy that felt both intense and overwhelming. When the tragic event happened, I was forced to confront that energy head on. It wasn't just an emotional upheaval, it was a deep spiritual calling. One day while working in the restaurant, I felt an electric charge running through me. It was as if someone had plugged me into a power source, and I couldn't control it. My body buzzed with energy, and I began seeing repeating numbers like 1, 11, 222, and 444. These signs felt like messages from the universe, but I couldn't yet understand their meaning. My senses heightened. I could hear sounds louder, see things more clearly, and feel an overwhelming sense of connection to everything around me. The intensity of these experiences grew to the point where I couldn't control my emotions. In a matter of seconds, I would go from the happiest person alive to feeling like the weight of the world was on my shoulders. I could see people around me, but they felt trapped in their own illusions, moving through life as if they were on autopilot. I began questioning everything: my purpose, my existence, the nature of life itself. It wasn't until a particularly intense session at the gym, after trying to release some of this overwhelming energy, that I had a moment of clarity. I was drawn to the music playing in the gym speakers, and in the static, I heard the voice of a dolphin. The voice spoke directly to me, saying, "Daddy, I love you. Everything will be fine." It was in that moment that I understood. It was my lost child, reaching out, telling me that everything needed to happen the way it did. That moment gave me a sense of peace, a deeper understanding of life's purpose. The next day, I experienced the ultimate shift when I was alone in the restaurant. I entered a state between sleep and wakefulness, and I heard a voice from the speakers repeating the words, "New beginning, new birth, change everything." When I woke up, the world felt different, like I had been reborn. The energy that had overwhelmed me now felt like something I could harness. I began to understand it as a higher force, something spiritual that I could connect with and learn from. This experience marked the beginning of my spiritual journey. It wasn't just about understanding life on a deeper level, but about realizing that we are spiritual beings having a human experience. From that point on, I embraced the flow of energy within me, learning to balance it through mindfulness, meditation, and connection with nature. I also came to realize that hardships are not obstacles. They are opportunities for growth. Life's challenges were part of the process, and through them, I became stronger. My connection to this higher energy became a source of guidance, reminding me that discipline was key. The more disciplined I became, the more my consciousness expanded, and the more I understood my true purpose in life. This spiritual awakening continues to shape every aspect of my life. It's not just about the material success I've achieved, but about the peace and wisdom I've found within. The journey is ongoing, and every day is an opportunity to grow, learn, and align more with the higher power that guides me. Chapter 6, The Journey of Building and Balancing Life. When we opened the vegan restaurant, it was a dream in motion, full of excitement, anticipation, and the hope to create something meaningful. But as time went on, the road got rocky. We found ourselves struggling to make ends meet, expenses piling up, and customer traffic not where we wanted it to be. It was a difficult realization, but it was in this hardship that I had to face the truth. I needed to find another way to stabilize everything. That's when I turned to trading. It seemed like a completely different world to me at first, but as I completed my course, I realized the potential it held. Trading wasn't just about making money. It was about mastering discipline, controlling emotions, and following a strict set of rules. And once I grasped the power of that mindset, everything changed. I started seeing profits that helped me balance out the struggles at the restaurant and gave me a fresh sense of excitement and possibility. But I wasn't going to stop there. I wanted to expand, to build more, and so I turned to trucking, a business I always found intriguing. I knew it would be a challenging venture, but with my best friend, who shared similar values and had years of trucking experience, we decided to start the trucking company. We didn't fear the challenge. I saw it as another opportunity to grow, and with the right partner, I knew we could build something strong. Through it all, the key to success was organization and consistency. I began by creating clear, actionable plans, breaking down everything into steps that I could manage while keeping my eye on the bigger picture. My days were a whirlwind of activities, but the constant through everything was my belief that if I kept going, kept working with the right intentions and the right people, things would fall into place. And they did. The restaurant, while still a challenge at times, became more stable. The trading provided additional freedom and financial growth, and the trucking business started to show promising results. Yet none of this would be as meaningful without my family by my side. My wife, who took charge of the restaurant while I dove into trading and trucking, is truly my partner in every sense of the word. Together, we built something strong, and through it all, we also welcomed our second child, Gabriel, into the world. Gabriel has been the biggest blessing of all. His presence is a constant reminder of what truly matters, the love we share, the joy in every moment, and the fuel that drives me to keep pushing forward. His laughter and hugs recharge me like nothing else. It's this deep connection that keeps me grounded, helping me navigate the complexities of life, and reminds me every day that my purpose is to create a meaningful life for him and for those around me. And this is just the beginning. The lessons I've learned from the restaurant, trading, and trucking have opened my mind to new opportunities. Real estate, stocks, and even more growth in the businesses we've built. The journey is ongoing, and I'm more excited than ever for what lies ahead. Conclusion. This journey has been nothing short of transformational. From my childhood experiences, shaped by the wisdom of my parents and the harsh realities of war, to the unfolding of my adulthood, filled with both hardship and growth. I learned early on that life is not about the material things we acquire, but the people we become through overcoming challenges. Each moment, whether it was dealing with the turbulence of high school or pushing through the struggles in business, was a lesson. The turning point in my life came when I faced a spiritual awakening. It wasn't just a moment of personal crisis, but the beginning of understanding the deeper layers of life and existence. Through the loss of my first child, I experienced the pain and the rebirth that reshaped my entire perception of reality. The energy that flowed through me, the synchronicities that appeared, and the guidance I received. It all led me to a place of profound understanding. I came to realize that we are not just our human experiences, but spiritual beings on a journey of growth and learning. I understand now that challenges are the universe's way of preparing us for greater responsibility. It's all connected. From running my vegan restaurant, struggling yet thriving, to diving into the world of trading and later building a trucking company. Each chapter of my life has pushed me to expand my discipline, my focus, and my understanding of what it truly means to live a fulfilling life. Through it all, I have learned one undeniable truth. Life is a process of continuous transformation. It's a journey of mastering the mind, aligning with higher powers, and being ready for the challenges ahead. The key is faith. Faith that we are guided, even when we don't see the full picture. Faith that when we are ready, we will be given what we need to grow, to lead, and to move forward. As I continue my path, the belief in a higher management, in a force that watches over us, continues to guide me. Every action we take, no matter how small, is seen, and it prepares us for the next level. The more we grow, the more we are entrusted with greater responsibilities. And in the end, it's not about reaching some final destination, but about who we become in the process. This is just the beginning of a greater journey, one where I'll continue to expand, grow, and keep striving to help others do the same. Through discipline, faith, and a never-ending commitment to bettering ourselves, we can achieve the extraordinary.